Audacious, this is for you.
From Connecticut Public Radio in Hartford, this is Audacious. I'm Kyone Wolf, and today it's all about farts. Why? Well, for those of you who are still listening, because producer Khalil Rahman thought it would be funny to do a show about farts, and I totally agreed. And heads up, we will be talking a lot about farts, obviously, and certain body parts that not everybody feels totally great about hearing repeated over and over again. You just heard from Will the Farter. He was born without an anus, but thanks to modern medicine, now he farts with gusto and on command. And underneath us, you can hear the truly iconic Guy First. He's a professional manualist or hand farter. Here he is auditioning for Britain's Got Talent in 2019. Hearing that really makes me want to hear him hand fart Imagine by John Lennon, which he will do later in the show. But before we jump into human farts, let's talk about other animal farts. Which animals, you may be asking yourself, fart? Do snakes fart? How about fish? And is it possible that the dinosaurs farted? Well, lucky for you, we found just the people who have asked these same questions, and they went one step further. They created an open source spreadsheet all about animal farts that turned into a New York Times best-selling book series. Dr. Dani Rabayati is a researcher and data scientist based out of the Zoological Society of London, and Dr. Nick Caruso is a postdoctoral associate at Virginia Tech in the Department of Fish and Wildlife Conservation. And their book is called Does It Fart? The Definitive Guide to Animal Flatulence. It's been translated into 15 languages and turned into a CBC Kids show and a children's book called Does It Fart? A Kid's Guide to the Gas Animals Pass. Here's how we got the conversation started. Okay, there are a lot of places we could start this. And I also don't know why. You're the first interview I'm doing for this show. And I just want to put words to my feelings real quick. I don't even like the word fart. I don't even like to say it. And I don't know why. But this is going to be very uncomfortable for me, and I'm hoping that by the time I get through these interviews, I'll be more comfortable with the word fart. So I've said it many times now. And so I think that the best place to start, just so we get our bearings, I think I know what a fart is, but how do you define fart?
When you look at the medical definition of like what most people think of as a fart, which is flatulence, the technical term, it says like gas produced during digestion that is expelled from the anus. But a lot of the gas that we fart out is not produced in digestion, it's swallowed. And a lot of animals don't have an anus. So we had to go a bit loosey-goosey with the definition. And I think we came up with a gas that is produced out the opposite end to an animal's head.
Okay. Will you help me understand, why did you do this research?
One day I was away with my family and my brother said to me, because, I'm a zoologist, I'm supposed to know everything about animals. And he said, do snakes fart? And I was like, I don't actually know. So I reached out to a very well-known snake expert on Twitter, David Steen. And I said, David, do snakes fart? And he was just like, oh, people ask us all the time why. And so we just decided to catalog which animals fart, which animals don't. We kind of like turned it into a hashtag and a spreadsheet so that like anyone that was in our position could go look at the spreadsheet and they could see, oh, does it fart, does it not? Now I know the answer. No one's questioning my ability as a zoologist. I know all this stuff now. And then it just kind of got into the media. I ended up projected in front of Parliament on Canadian TV talking about animal farts. And yeah, it just kind of went from there, really. People really wanted to know which animals fart and which animals don't, it turns out.
Turns out, and here we are together talking about this. So I feel like we should jump to this spreadsheet and to these overall studies. And I want to know about some outliers as well as some obvious ones. Like humans, got it. Dogs, definitely. What are a few more that are sort of obvious? Yes, yes, yes. And what were some that stood out that surprised you?
So I think the obvious yeses were mostly like the primates. When the spreadsheet first started, the primate researchers were going, well, they were all over that spreadsheet. They were going mad for it. Like there were so many like really funny stories of like Addie, who studied chimps, like being in the field and not being able to find her study chimps, and then just like listening for the sounds of them farting to find out where they were. And like baboon researchers getting farted on by their study animals. And so I think those were the ones where like everyone had a funny story to tell about, apes or monkeys farting.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of mammals in general were not surprising. Horses, definitely a one that people have witnessed firsthand.
There was one mammal though that we had like a bit of a pushback on. Do you remember this? Yeah. There's like some cat owners out there, right, that are like convinced that their pet does not fart, and I do not understand. Like, I do not understand. They will not accept it. They will not accept the cat's fart in any way.
I wonder if there's some sort of like they're too dignified to fart, and so therefore I've sort of developed this invisibility shield around the idea of my cat farting.
I think that just has to be it. Like, oh, my cat never farts. I'm sure it does. Like, it would be dead if it didn't.
There are also in the spreadsheet, there are some that are maybes, like parakeets and salamanders. How do you live the rest of your life not knowing?
Yeah, that was a dream of ours after starting this was maybe one day we'd have our own fart lab and we could investigate those questions. Bats were another one that we couldn't get a definitive answer on. So for example, salamanders, pretty sure they do, but it's kind of hard to detect it, right? They don't have the necessary sphincter muscles to produce an audible fart. And so unless you observe it, it's not always easy to know yes or no, does this animal fart? So hearing is oftentimes one of the main cues we have.
Now, there were some that I was really disappointed and a bit surprised to hear that as far as we know, they don't fart, which is birds. Just because I think about birds, and among many things, I think about their bird poop. And so because of so much poop, it just seems like such wild poop, such exuberant poop, that they would also fart. But as far as we know, they don't.
Yeah, so they don't quite carry the same gas producing bacteria that we have. So that lack of digestive gases being emitted. Now there are some reports of like, especially in poultry farms, that chickens may develop some cloacal gases, which might be signs of illness in them. But yeah, they do have the ability to. That's one of our favorite sayings. It's like birds don't fart, but they could if they wanted to.
Yeah, the thing is with birds, the food just passes through them so quickly. That's why the poop is so exuberant. It's like they eat it and then it's like straight out the other end. So as well, there's not much time for gas buildup. But no one's like checked every single bird. Like there's a bird called the Hoatzin, and it mostly eats leaves, and it's like has a really fermenting stomach. So like I feel like maybe that guy might be farting out there. We don't know, but the vets we spoke to said that like if a bird comes into the practice and it's farting, that's like, oh god, it's sick. So we were like, well, probably go for no then.
Now there are some strategic farters, like the eastern hognose snake, the Sonoran coral snake. They release gas to scare predators, aka cloacal popping. Can you tell me more about this, please?
Yeah, so it's not surprising. I mean, if you want things to stop trying to eat you, you try to scare them off, right? They make loud noises or just sudden loud noises. And that's what they're doing. They are able to emit this pop from their cloaca, which is for birds, reptiles, amphibians. They have basically, it's an all-purpose hole where they eliminate waste and use for reproduction as well, known as a cloaca, which is what Latin for sewer, which is always fun. And so they're able to emit this loud popping noise to scare off any would-be predators.
I understand there are some animals whose life depends on farting. Please tell me about manatee farts.
Manatees use their farts for buoyancy, right? So they have these like special guts that have these pouches that trap the air. And when they want to sink, they fart out some air and then they go down. But if manatees get constipated, they can't sink in the water column and they just end up floating upside down. And then there's also a type of fish called a pupfish. And in the summer, they eat algae and the algae produces air and they swallow the bubbles. And if they can't fart it out, they literally explode.
What a way to go.
What a way to go.
Yeah.
Do you think the dinosaurs farted?
Oh, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one, right? Because birds don't fart and birds are dinosaurs. So, but there was someone that tried to work out how much gas was produced by like large herbivorous dinosaurs because they think that the kind of stomach structure was more similar to like what we would see in a herbivore today. So but they must have been producing gas from one end or the other. So, yeah, sauropods probably did. They might have been burping it all out though. You know, we don't have a fossilized dinosaur butt, or imagine that fossilized in the act.
Just did. Yeah.
We can only dream.
Yeah. I want that for you, frankly.
The level of evidence we strive for.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about foods. What foods have an effect on the severity of farts?
Things that stick around in your digestive system longer, so stuff that's hard to digest, vegetables, beans. And so, yeah, throughout, all the animal kingdom, all the animals we studied, the ones that farted the most typically had longer digestive times. So foods that stick around longer are going to inevitably produce more gas.
Yeah, there's like the vegetables like increase the amount that you're farting, but then like the stuff that really gives that like rotten egg smell is stuff that has like produces a lot of sulfurous gases, and that's like meat. So really the worst diet is an omnivore. If you're like chowing down on the vegetables and then eating the meat for the smell, that's just not gonna we've got the worst possible of both worlds.
Are there any outstanding fart sounds that you've encountered?
It's got to be the FRT.
The what?
Oh yeah.
The herring.
The herrings.
Wait, herring like a fish?
Mm-hmm. So they're able to stay together when they can't see, even at night, through what the scientists who observe this phenomenon dubbed the FRT.
Fast repetitive tick.
Yeah, fast repetitive tick. They obviously had a sense of humor about it. And so they emit this sound through their cloaca that they're able to find each other, stay close. And of course, there's more protection in those larger groups. The added benefit is that sound is out of the auditory range of marine mammals. And so they can't hear it. And so, yeah, it's this secret fart code that they have that they can chat with each other and no one else can listen in on.
This is awesome, and it's also a little absurd, and it's also useful and scientifically relevant. So whatever you're onto next, if it's not farting, when you look at this era of your lives where you've spent all this time researching, gathering, talking about this, wondering, and probably for the rest of your lives, every time you encounter some kind of different animal who's maybe not on the spreadsheet yet, you might wonder. I'd just like to hear your reflections on what this means to you.
I think it's always interesting. There's always things out there that we don't know. And part of this was just a funny exercise, but part of what I found out was like, there was so many animals out there where we just have a woefully inadequate knowledge of their digestion, of their ecology. And I don't see it as like any less kind of useful. People loved this book. We had people writing to us and saying, my son never reads, my daughter never reads. They've loved your book. They take it to bed every night. They've learned so much about animals. And so I think in a way, for me, the work we did around this was probably more impactful than like my scientific papers that go in a journal and then maybe like 50 max people read it. And they're probably already interested in what I'm writing about anyway, So for me, I'll always be really, really proud of us writing this farting book and it's selling, enough copies to make the New York Times bestseller list. Who does that? Like, I think it's great fun and just is so nice to be able to have fun with your science and for other people to join in as well.
I remember one parent or a kid mentioned like that they were amazed that there was like serious scientists, right, studying this. And there was like, I could grow up to be a flatologist, someone who studies farts for a living. Like, this kid was all excited about it. And that's just great. Like, I don't know that there are jobs out there for someone who studies farts, but maybe there will as we get more interest and find out more and more fascinating things about the subject.
Well, Donnie Rabayati and Nick Caruso, thank you so much for your contributions to the world and for talking with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have a link to their spreadsheet and their book, Does It Fart? The Definitive Field Guide to Animal Flatulence, and a companion book for children called Does It Fart? A Kid's Guide to the Gas Animals Pass at ctpublic.org/audacious. Okay, we are just getting started. When we get back, underneath my voice, you are hearing melodies from professional hand farter Guy First. Stay tuned to hear him take requests. Then he's got some advice for anybody wanting to follow in his fart steps.
Every set of hands is different. And you gotta find your own light, your own unique posture. Find the essence within.
And Will Bakey was born without an anus. But years after corrective surgery, he discovered his superpower.
I was a kid and I remember air would just go, and it startled me because it was just flood in and I had no control over it. It was like another breathing apparatus.
I'm Kyone Wolf. This is Audacious. Stay with me. This is Audacious. I'm Kyone Wolf. Farts are more than just the butt of a joke. They've also been a part of our art, music, and literature. For example, Dante's Inferno mentions a demon who uses his rump as a trumpet. And in Japanese folklore, there's a creature called the Okeruipe, whose name translates to a flatulent monster. It's powerful enough to knock down trees and buildings and even sink ships. And while scatting is common in music, scatological humor is not, but Franz Joseph Haydn, in his 93rd Symphony, had a fart-inspired movement. In this clip, you'll hear a bassoon boom, followed by what sounds like the string section laughing. That gives a whole new meaning to the wind section. Now, when Guy First makes fart melodies by putting his hands together and squeezing in and out, there are no bum notes. He even performed his tour de fart on Britain's Got Talent in 2019. Unfathomably, he did not go on to win the show, but he got all 4 judges to send him on to the semifinals. Here's how we got started with the story of Guy's infatuation with hand farts.
When I started looking into the work that you do, I immediately thought of my big brother, Paul, who could do the thing with his hands. And then I remembered how he tried to teach me as a kid, and I couldn't figure it out. So, first of all, what's your earliest memory of making fart noises melodically with your hands?
It's a similar story to yours, only I managed to mimic my brother who has made those noises. And I was the jealous little brother, and I was like, I can do that too. And here I am.
And here you are. Here we both are.
The phase I didn't pass, or did pass, or
Well, I mean, you bring up an interesting point. Like, for most people, when they figure out how to do this with their hands, it's cool and it's fun and it makes people laugh, and then it sort of falls by the wayside. But that's not what happened with you. Why do you think it's stuck around and continues to stick around for you?
when I was 13, there was also already YouTube. And there was a dude who still has a channel who's also doing this. His name is Jerry Phillips, but he was definitely an inspiration. And he was like this beacon of saying, if you want, you can be that good. And I was like, all right. And I was also into video and Weird Al Yankovic stuff. And I was really into stupid art. I was really into doing stupid things.
Like Dada?
Like what?
Dada?
How do you mean by Dada?
Dada is it's a stupid art. It's absurd and beautiful in its absurdity.
Well, the way you phrase it, then definitely, I guess.
Now, will you help me out here? Because it doesn't look too freaking difficult to put your hands together and squish it. And I can hear the air. I can almost hear a fart. It's so close. What am I doing wrong? How do I make farting noises with my hands?
Every set of hands is different. And you gotta find your own light, your own unique posture. Find the essence within. And once you get one sound, never let go.
Never let it go. I'll never let go.
And in 20 years, you might be able to play a song. Oh,
Did you hear that?
I heard that. It was a birth of a fart from your hands.
A second one. There's two. Wait a minute. I'm feeling that the fart, it comes with my out, like my pull back.
Oh.
Is that how it usually goes? It starts out with the out, like the pulling out a part of the hands?
It's different with every person. Every person who does this, it will be different for him.
Okay, so if I wanted you to demonstrate this skill, and I do, is there like one song that you always use to demonstrate, or do you mix it up?
I always ask the person to choose the song.
Okay. All right, how about for a request, Imagine by John Lennon?
Oh, okay, let's see. Can you just remind me quickly how it starts?
Imagine there's no heaven.
Okay. I always forget how to begin. Let's go to the chorus. Oh, it up.
We could try another song.
Another song.
Let's see. Well, I mean, would it be cruel for me to ask you to play any section of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen?
It would be, how do you say? It would be a pleasure. I can keep going with this. Is like a 6-minute thing.
I know you could keep going. Now I'm watching your face as you're doing this, and it's It's almost as if I'm watching any other musician who is completely in the flow of their craft. Are you in the flow when you are doing such a thing?
I have to be. Like, yeah,
Are you single?
I'm married.
You're married. Did your ability to do this play a role in your husband, your partner,
My wife.
your wife, play a role in your wife falling deeply in love with you?
Of course it did. I think she saw me perform on. I was also singing, so I have this really good song called "Seaman," and that's the one that stuck with her.
I'm sorry, what's the name of the song?
Seaman.
Oh,
It's called Seaman. There's also an English version of it. I just haven't gotten to finish mixing it.
is the English version also called Seaman?
That's the one that's called Seaman. The Hebrew version is called Zera.
Which is Hebrew for seaman.
Yes.
Oh. At your wedding, did you play a song for her on your hands?
Was it Imagine?
Jesus.
Did I?
If it was Imagine, then I don't know what to say.
But maybe my mind's doing tricks on me.
Maybe. If it was Imagine, you let me know later so my entire life can be turned upside down in my understanding of the universe. Thank you. Since you grew up listening to Weird Al Yankovic, how fast would you say yes if he asked you to join him?
Of course.
There we go. There we go. Is that the dream?
Above all else. I mean, I even at one time like just try to write him on Instagram because I don't know how this world works. It's like, hey, I'm farting my hands. I mean, he had a hand farter back in the day. I'm like, do you still want one now?
Maybe a fresh pair?
I figure.
Oh, if you lost your hands in some tragic accident, do you think that would destroy you and your soul and everything you ever wanted out of life, and you would just crawl into a hole and never crawl out until you're dead, in which case you can't crawl out anymore? Or do you think if you lost
I'll
both,
definitely crawl into some hole, but I believe I'll get out.
but not with your hands?
That was my hand. God forbid I lose my hands. I'd still sing about poop and farts and psoriasis. I feel like this is the most serious interview I had. It's like I'm really appreciative to how it's like not a bad serious way. It's like we're really talking about stuff here that are meaningful.
Yeah.
And if you have questions for my wife, she's right here.
Oh, really? Would she be willing to talk to me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kyone. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Yara.
Hi, Yara. In the pie chart of all the things that make him wonderful, what was the percentage of the pie chart that was the hand farting?
Wow. I would say that would be 20%.
Okay. How does that feel to hear?
Well, I really don't want to lose my hands now.
So can you talk about the first time you were in his presence while he was hand farting, what that was like for you?
I just could not believe it. And then he just brought his hands close to my ear. And then I said, wow, okay, I believe you. I'm so sorry.
You could even feel the vibrations.
While you were talking, I got a flash in my head. And usually when I get a flash in my head, I have to speak it. I pictured you two somehow separated in a thick forest. You can't find each other. And all of a sudden, Yara, you hear in the distance some hand farting. How does it feel to hear the signal of your husband?
It feels like home. It feels safe. I'm not alone in this world. Life's a gas.
Well, Yara and Guy first, thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you
Thank
for coming to
you.
us. It's been pleasant and great and wonderful.
What a joyful blessing.
After the break, professional farter Will Bakey talks about his commitment to the craft and really giving it his all.
I blend. I think it's called a fissure. It's part of the job.
I'm Kyone Wolf. This is Audacious. Stay tuned. This is Audacious. I'm Kyone Wolf. Believe it or not, being born without an anus, or with an underdeveloped one, is not that uncommon. In the United States, 1 out of every 5,000 babies are born with this condition. That's according to the National Institutes of Health. And Will Bakey was one of those kids. But after surgery, plus some physical and spiritual growth, his condition led to a successful career as Will the Farter. He's best known for his appearance in the 2010 movie Jack 3D, where he farted into a party horn, into a trumpet, and even into a dart gun, which blew into a balloon nestled into the rear end of Steve-O. Will was also a beloved guest on The Howard Stern Show. In 2019, he joined the host for a 21 fart salute.
Are you still counting? I lost track of. Whoa. Oh my God, you've not lost your powers? Oh my goodness.
The bottom line is, it's an honor to have Will Bakey, or Will the Farter, make his Audacious debut. I asked him to bring me back to the beginning of his legendary story.
When I was born, apparently I had a birth defect. So I had no,
Anus.
I had no anus. There's a word for it. I don't know what the technical term is, but that's what happened.
And then you got a colostomy bag, right?
Yeah, I had a colostomy bag, yeah.
And then there was some sort of operation to create an opening.
Yes. And then when I was a kid, like one time I was looking for change under the couch. I was a kid and I remember just air would just go, and it startled me because it was just flood in and I had no control over it. It was like another breathing apparatus. And I was just entertaining myself. It would go, and I'm like, what is this? And I really didn't think because, I'm a kid. I was like, everybody does this, or I'm just assuming. But then later on, I would just do it, for giggles. And no one ever said, hey, that's something, it's like a gift. No one said that. And I didn't know until like in my 20s where people were like, oh, wow, because I had no idea.
Now, when the air would come in and out, you would, of course, make farting noises. Would it smell?
It all depends. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, no. The worst ones are probably right when I do it. Like if let's just say, because I do cameos, and if I just do it the first cameo of the day, that's the worst one. And then they get less and less. But then after I get up and I'm done with them, the longer this goes on, and then they start picking up the smell again.
May I ask, you have a girlfriend, yeah?
Yeah.
Did she know about your abilities before you started dating?
I'm pretty sure I told her what I do right off the bat. Because over the years, I had many girlfriends, and I had to explain to them eventually what I do. And she's fine with it. And with me, it's like I hate when I'm with somebody like especially a girlfriend, and I feel like I can't fart because that drives me crazy. But at the same time, though, for me, if a girl does it, I don't want to be anywhere near because it grosses me out. I don't know why.
What?
Yes. I just want to run for the hills and want nothing to do with it.
So your girlfriend, if she farts, that's a turn off for you.
Oh, yeah, totally. I want nothing to do with it.
But if you fart, it just comes with the package.
If she still wants something to do with it, then that's fine. With me, and she knows this, and I know it is sort of like a double standard, but it just with me, like I always want to see the person I'm with. It's clean and I don't smell anything, and she's always looking nice. And then as soon as that happens, that whole image just gets totally tarnished.
Hey, by the way, it's not sort of a double standard. It is a double standard, but I appreciate that you're aware of it, which is putting you ahead of most people who are not aware of their double standards. So that's not nothing, Will.
No,
There's hope for you.
well, yeah.
Is there any room in your psyche for the intimacy of farting between two people? Like if you could get past that disgusting feeling of your girlfriend farting in front of you, like you would, if she was just able to and still be loved and desired, that would be pretty intimate. Isn't that what everyone wants?
I would say most people wouldn't be bothered by it, but with me, it's for some reason I can't get past it. I cannot do it.
So she has to go into the next room.
Usually, if she gives a warning, and I go the other way. It's I don't know what it is. It's like,
Oh, that's good. So she doesn't have to leave.
Yes.
You leave. You do the work. Good.
yeah. But see, the thing, it's like if I have a really bad smell and I see somebody's face, and I know there's a connection between the two, that smell will always be there when I look at that person's face, and I can't get away from it. Now it sounds weird.
No, I get it. Because you're aware of the correlation. You're really doing her a favor by saying, I can't control it. If you fart, I'm going to associate your face with what I just smelled, and I smelled it well, and I want to be with you. So let's not do this. Yeah?
Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah.
When people purchase an appearance by you on Cameo, this app where like famous people do messages for people for a fee, how do you prepare for a day's worth of recording?
And so usually when I do it, I have my phone and I'm going through it, and someone have a specific request, and I have a very short-term memory, and I'm like, okay, this is the person's name, this, and this, and I have to read it, and I always freak out, and I've done probably over 100 takes in some of these, and I start sweating profusely, and then finally in my head, I say, I don't care anymore, and then I get it done. Happy birthday to It is a mental thing more than anything else. But once they start going, then I can get them all done. But I think I don't even know how many. I think I have over like close to 900 cameos now.
So if I were to purchase one of your cameos and say, hey, I've got the show Audacious, I want to do a promo for it. It's about farts. This guy's a great farter. He was born without an anus. Now he farts for a living, makes a really good living at it. Would you need any preparation for your body, or have you just been doing this so long that there's no preparation whatsoever?
I'll show you. Like if I had to do a cameo, say I had to do a cameo for Audacious. Yeah, Audacious on Kinetic Public Radio. This one's for you. Oh, it's coming. Oh God! Hold on a second.
Sure.
Sometimes this happens, not all the time.
Hey, listen, it happens to every guy.
Yeah, but I also notice it's the fabric of the pants that I have sometimes. I got to make sure everything's loose. And sometimes I call it like the cork. Like, sometimes it's super easy, sometimes super hard. I've never had it this hard in a very long time. Now, of course. This is pathetic.
See, right now you're lying down on your back, and yeah, perhaps on your knees would make it easier.
It might, but let me get I gotta get these other different shorts on. This is actually 100% embarrassing that I can't actually perform.
It's not me, is it?
No, well, it's sometimes. I don't think I ever bombed on the Stern Show. It's not you.
I feel like you would remember if you bombed on the Stern Show.
Yeah, I never bombed on the Stern. I don't think I ever bombed at all.
Okay, so now you've changed your shorts.
Yeah. Audacious, this is for you. What was that?
It was great. Thank you. It was dynamic. You know, it had character, it had volume, it was a little bit of surprise. I thought it was over and then there was a finale. You're an artist.
Well, thank you. And it's not bizarre though. Just a change of shorts changed everything.
Yeah, and now when you are when you are lying down and you're going to do this, like, do you know what's going to come out, or is it you're sort of doing a dance with your own butt in the hole?
Usually, it's smooth. Sometimes, because now when I started doing this, I was in my 20s. I could do this standing up. Now I just do what's easier for me, and the easier it's on my back. But occasionally, I have these episodes where I fart. Nothing ever comes out, but you go, well, you got to stop because you feel it's a discomfort and you feel like you blew a gasket and then you got to stop. It's weird.
Have you ever hurt yourself?
I bled. I would call it I think it's called a fissure, and I just made it worse. So it was like 2 weeks of bleeding. It's part of the job.
One guest that we wanted to get for this show, but we didn't hear back, was a woman who sells her farts in a jar. She sells her farts in a jar. Would you ever do that?
Would I? Absolutely. I sold fart paintings.
I'm sorry, fart paintings?
Yes, fart paintings.
What?
I went on the Stern Show and I had a canvas and they're pouring, it was like watercolor paint and they're pouring it, but I was totally butt naked. And it was just spraying the canvas and it was a fart painting.
Did you sell it?
I sold a few.
Oh.
Yes.
What do you think people think about you and what you do that is totally off and wrong?
A lot of times when I'm doing interviews, like right now, I can tell you right now, this is my personality. This is not my personality. This is I always turn into a little kid when I do stuff like this, especially in the Stern Show. I explain that to him. I feel like I'm a 5-year-old boy. That's just not me. I'm actually, I don't want people to think that this is how I am in real life. Just with this interview, I'm a lot more, trying to think of the word. If my girlfriend was here, well, she's actually in the other room. Would you like her to describe me?
Sure. Yeah, if she's into it.
Okay. Well,
what's her name?
Ashler. Here, you don't have to get in camera, but I'm trying to describe, because I was explaining to her, I don't feel like myself when I'm on camera.
Okay.
So I wanted you to describe me how I am.
I don't know. He's a jokester. He's kind of like a stubborn sometimes.
What you say?
But he is gentle. He is sweet.
And sweaty.
And sweaty. He's a little bit of romantic, even though he doesn't believe it.
I try.
See, I think that because you said you're like a kid when you come on interview shows, like you're like a 5-year-old. I think that is the real you. I think my 5-year-old self is the real me. It's just all the that we get on ourselves and our souls and our personalities, all these barnacles of resistance and fear that get on our little selves. But I think that little kid that you are, I think that's probably underneath it all the real you. And once you get back into the quote unquote real world, you just put everything back on top of it.
I agree with that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ashlyn, at some point you knew this super handsome guy has farts as a prominent part of his life. How did you respond to that prospect?
I was like, you're getting paid to fart. Like, who does that? Like, no judgment for me. I mean, I wish they were less smelly, but other than that, he kind of just does his own thing when I'm not around. He doesn't like doing it when I'm in the room or whatever. But
I don't like doing it in the room.
well, like you're
the cameos. I don't do the cameos in front of her.
But the everyday farting, absolutely.
yes,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. But like, I mean, he makes money off it. Who am I to judge for him making money off farts?
And he explained earlier that it does not go both ways. He would rather you not fart in front of him, right?
Yeah, he is a man-child when it comes to that.
Yeah. I don't like things emanating out of women.
Ashlyn, has it gotten to be totally unnoticeable, like white noise, because he just does it so much?
It's just kind of how it is, I guess. I mean, he kind of makes an announcement sometimes if he knows it's coming, and they're just also sometimes really loud, so it's hard to not notice.
If you were to write a memoir, which I hope you do, what do you think the title of it would be?
I went on stage one time and I called myself Farticus. So it'd be the Tales of Farticus or something like that. I think that would work.
I mean, I can already see the movie rights being sold. Perhaps a musical.
I think it'd be better than Seinfeld. My life makes absolutely no sense. In a comedic way. But then you add in the farts, it's even better.
Well, Ashlyn and Will the Farter, aka Will Bakey, aka Farticus, thank you so much for farting with me.
Oh, okay, no problem. It was fun talking to you. I really enjoyed this interview.
A farty thanks to Khalil Rahman for producing this episode with such love and care. We did it with help from Jessica Severin de Martinez, Renette Chafu, Meg Fitzgerald, Meg Dalton, Robin Doyen Aiken, and Katie Tolarski at Connecticut Public Radio in Hartford. And a farty thanks to Guy First for his cover of our theme song, written originally by Mac Miller, who I would like to think would totally appreciate this interpretation of his beautiful song, Good News. If you like this episode, check out the one we did featuring a 2-time Ig Nobel Prize winner who figured out how wombats make cubed poop. And listen to the episode full of people who would never fart in front of you. We did a whole show about life as a high-end butler. You can listen at ctpublic.org/audacious and smash that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. Stay in touch with me on the socials at Kyone Wolf, and you can always send an email. And oh, I can't wait to read the emails on this one, so let her rip. audacious@ctpublic.org. Thanks for listening all the way to the end.